there's a great, benefit in children as they're growing to get adjustments. So can you just talk to us just at a very basic level about like, for parents out there who are raising children, why they might want to look at, how their children's hips are and, how their knees are and all that kind of good
Yeah, their
stuff
shoulders, all of it.
relation to the spine.
Well, for sure, because most of us, we are misaligned from our birth process. And there was research that came out of the 80s in Germany that over 80% of newborns that went through the vaginal canal were misaligned. They had the top two bones out of place. Well, hey, your brain is right here. The top two bones, every single nerve from your brain has to pass through these two. So if that's affected, we're going to see issues. One of the common thing that I see in newborns or infants, when this top bone is off, it can cause irritation to the ear canal. So then fluid's not draining properly and the child ends up with an ear infection. But unfortunately, in our society, we just jab tubes in their ears instead, So let's look at some other ways. But it's not just that. Now, I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan area. People literally plan their babies' birth dates based off of the horoscope here. So they're just going to go in for planned C-sections, right? So now, people are like, oh, that was so much easier than a vaginal delivery. No, it's not. Like we're now pulling, if you have ever witnessed that, they're pulling whatever they can to get that baby out. So whether it's grabbing an arm or whatever it is. I remember one of my friends that ended up going into an emergency C. Right. So again, they've been laboring for a while. That's a lot of trauma on this. And now they're going into an emergency C-section. So you've got a contracting uterus at that point. So there's a multi-layer. So if you're sitting there saying, oh, I've had all my kids cesarean, I don't need to do this for them. Actually, you really need to, or intervention or that type of things that are being implemented in our birthing process now. So then we fall and we learn to walk, and then we ride bikes and we jump out of trees and we fall off of horses. We do all this stuff. Bones go out of place. What happens is the body says, hey, this area is not necessarily stable, right? So it's going to start setting down little teeny tiny bits of extra bone, which fast forward when we're 30, 40, 50 years old is arthritis. So that's how I love to see the people that have been under chiropractic care. And I had this my first year in practice, and it was perfect for me as that new doctor. I had a lady that was like 80 or 90 years old, looked at her x-rays, and it was this beautiful curve of what I wanted to see on most of my patients that I wasn't seeing. And I looked at her and I said, you said you've been under chiropractic care. Like how long have you been under chiropractic care? Because your neck looks amazing for this age, like very little arthritis, very little spurring, degenerative disc disease, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. She looked at me. She's like, oh, I've been under care since like 1940. I was like, well, obviously this stuff works, right? So it's very much, I want people to think of chiropractic like dentistry. So if you start taking care of your teeth early on, the likelihood that you'll still have your teeth at 60 and 70 and 80 years old is pretty good, But if we don't do that, like imagine walking into the dentist at 30 or 40 years old, there would be so much like catch up that you have to do. We got so much extra tartar buildup. We've got to fill cavities. We might even have to pull teeth, do root canals, whatever it is. That's why I love prevention with these children, because that way, plus, my God, we know how long has the iPhone been around? Like 10, 12 years. The common thing that I see, like if you go and just feel to the bottom, like back part of your lower part of your neck, like upper back, there's a little bump there. I now see that on like everybody. These are the nerves here that go to your thyroid. They also go into our hands, our shoulder, our elbows. Most people have that little bump, and that's coming from the cell phone, right? So we don't necessarily want that there. We see people coming forward. This is that text neck or tech neck, whatever you want to call it.
The phone zombie posture. Is that what it is?
The worst thing, Jess, what I'm seeing now, because moms will bring them in 13. This is prior to even the last 2 years of what we've gone through with the pandemic. But prior to that, with kids being on their phones so much, because look at them, they're hunched over like a caveman. Mom's bringing them and saying, I'm seeing a secondary bump forming in their middle back. What's going on? And this bump, like it's in the middle of their back, those are the nerves that go to the heart and the lungs. Like that's not cool.